This grace is not a person. Maybe you have friends who are named Grace. This is not a person. This grace is sanctifying grace. Okay? How? Through faith. But look at this first point. That's how we are saved. This is the sure way to go to heaven. You must believe. When I say believe, not from your lips, from your heart. You believe from your heart, and you do good works. Do you know how to you remain in sanctifying grace? By not doing bad and by doing good. Those two things. From last week. Don't do bad and do good things. Then you remain in sanctifying grace. And then you believe, and then you do good works. Heaven. This is the faith of the church.
This is how being how God created you. Somebody said, everybody.
Okay, the Baltimore Catechism, those of age understand the Baltimore Catechism, which actually, I'll be honest with you, I never read. But I have had teachings on that, so I know. The Baltimore Catechism says, we've been created by God to know Him, to love Him, and to serve Him, and spend eternity with Him. That's what the Baltimore Catechism says. But that's a simplistic way to put it. This is really what it means. This is really what it means. This is the only way we can be saved. And what is grace? I told you about grace. Grace is a gift from God. Remember? Gifts received at Christ's expense. That's grace. Remember I gave it to you before? That's what grace is. That's how we are saved. So who goes to heaven? It's an exception. It's a rule by exception. These are the ones who go to heaven. If you don't do this, where do you go? It's that simple. There are only two destinations. Purgatory is not a destination. Purgatory is a stopover. It's a transit. If you take the bus, or you take the train, well, probably bus. You know, or like airlines. Different airlines have hubs. They call that hubs, right? Like Delta Airlines would have their hub in Detroit. So, if you're going to some place, you have to pass by Detroit. And then Detroit to wherever you're going. That's the hub. You can compare purgatory to that. It's only a stopover. That's not your destination. Besides, purgatory is not a place. Purgatory is a process. Purgatory is a condition. It's a state. It's not a place.
What do you say sanctifying grace was?
Sanctifying grace is the love of God to keep you holy. To sanctify is to make holy. So, does that mean God chooses who He wants to be holy? No. God gives everybody. It's our choice if you want to be holy or not. There's some confusion over that. If you choose to be holy, then God will give you everything you need to become holy. Like our dear sis Saint Anne. She has decided to become holy. And the aunts are holy too. Saint and Saint. Saint Tassin. Maybe Rome will change it. Maybe. Maybe Saint Esperanza. Saint Constantia. Is there a Saint Constantia now? I'm not sure. I can check it out. Is there San Lourdes? Santa Lourdes? No. There's a place called Lourdes. That's where it came from. It's a place. I know because I've been there more than once. Is that clear? Question? Question? Please get your notes. Oh, about the wife. About the wife. Jesus had a wife. Let me see. It says, I have a picture of that, I kept it. The picture of it's the size of a business card, or smaller than a business card. It's too tiny. Some Harvard scholars say they've been cut because they want to make money. Remember, they sell those. It was a big papyrus, but they cut it to pieces, and then they were selling them by the piece. And whatever happened, that piece came up and was looked at by this Harvard. I'm not sure. She is a Harvard historian in Harvard Divinity School. So someone of good repute, right? Harvard Divinity School. And then she says it's in Coptic. You know what Coptic is? It's a very early language. And Jesus said, my wife. That's what they could read from that small papyrus. So Jesus had a wife, they concluded. Remember Dan Brown and the, what's this? The Da Vinci Code. First consideration, is that real or is that a forgery? There's a lot of things. You can't just, what if I write on a piece of paper, Rod, my wife. Does that mean I have a wife? If you never knew me, I existed so many hundred years ago. It doesn't mean that. Maybe Jesus was talking about a parable. Maybe that was a different Jesus. Maybe that's a forged papyrus. You know what I mean? There's way too many ifs. Definitely no conclusions. Yes, John.
Oh, I happened to catch that program you were referencing, and the way it was structured up, I could read that in such a way that this, you can put this into a context. Christ has appeared after the resurrection, and he's talking about his bride, the church.
Right.
Now that's an ancient characterization.
Yes.
It could be somebody else. After all, Yeshua was a fairly common name back then. It's somebody else.
Exactly.
So I think this is just another let's bash Christianity on the part of the secular humanists. Hence, I find it impossible to give it credibility.
I got a dispatch from the Vatican and simply just dismissive. There's way too many things, too many ifs. As John has said, I mean, there's so many, you can't simply conclude on a piece of papyrus this size. And who knows who wrote it? They wanted to you know, they have a testing so they could test the age of it. But they said they couldn't because the ink that was used to write on the papyrus, they had to practically erase it in order to get a sample so they could check the date, so they could date when it was written. So there's plenty of ifs. There's way too many ifs. We're not going anywhere with that. It's just that some people they made it their mission to plant doubts on Christian minds. And you and I are Catholics, we're not supposed to have doubts. The magisterium says, the church teaches, and think about it, he was on the cross. Who did he give his mother to? To one of his friends. Don't you think 12 of them, 12 disciples, could then at least talked about a wife, if there's a wife, and children? Somebody even went as far as saying, I am an ancestor, a descendant of Jesus. As crazy as that. Anyway, I have a whole, so again, another thing is context. I've been studying for 2 weeks now, and all we have been talking about is context. The context of every word in the Bible. This makes all sense to me. All you see is that piece of papyrus. How in the world can you conclude it? No one has any idea what the context of that text is all about. So there's no way you can conclude anything from that. Notes. Who do people say that I am? Remember Mark chapter 8? A pop quiz. Number 1, a pop quiz. Who do people say that I am? It provokes thought, right? It seems easy to answer. Because, you know, it's easy to answer when you're asked the question, who do people say that I am? It's easy to answer that because it's not me, it's them. It's the people. What do people say? And then Jesus turned over to you. What about you? Who do you say that I am? Then that changes dramatically the question. It's not an easy one to answer right away. Because now you have to open up to him. Who is Jesus in your life? Who is he to you? The second question requires something more. It involves the introspection. There you have to examine yourself, how close you are to Christ. Christ will give us a surprise exam. You know that. Sorry, I'm in school all the time, so my mind is full. Pop quiz, examination. Moments when we too will be asked to evaluate who Jesus really is for each of us. Have you asked that question? Ask yourself that question. Who is Jesus to you? It's a perfect opportunity to open up to him and evaluate yourself, how you look at Jesus. Number 2, God's standards. The closer we draw to Christ, the more he reveals himself. I underline it for you. The closer we are to Jesus, the more he reveals himself to you. If you want to examine something, what do? I'm not reading now. If you want to examine something, what do? You come closer, right? You look closely. You use a magnifying glass because you want to examine this thing. Jesus is no exception. You want to know Jesus more? Jesus is close to us, but some of us may not be as close to him as he is to us. So what do? Get closer to him. closer you are to Jesus, the more He reveals Himself. That's the fact of the matter. He is the Redeemer of the human person, the Messiah, the sovereign servant of Yahweh. Number 3, bound to Christ by the cross. What am I saying here? Remember Peter. Have you heard, if you have children, have you heard children say, I didn't mean to? The child breaks something, and what is their first excuse? I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to break it. I didn't mean to fight. I didn't mean to do this and that. I was well-intentioned. I didn't mean to do that. But Peter was like that too. Remember? God forbid. You will not, nobody can harm you. Nobody can, kill you. I will die. I will protect you. Peter had all the good intentions of saying that. But Jesus said what? Get behind me, Satan. Despite the good intentions, that's what Jesus said. The answer is, and the revelation is the last sentence. The path to salvation. The path to salvation leads through the sorrow and joy of the cross. This is contrary to human tendencies. Anyone here who loves to be sick? Nobody? Really? Anyone here who enjoys suffering? Anyone here longing for pain? Of course no, because that's not what this means. What this means is, if you need to suffer because of your faith, go for it. Don't avoid it. If you need to give your life for the faith, go for it. Last week I was talking about martyrdom, right? Martyrdom, to become a martyr is to witness. To witness means to be martyred. Not many of us, maybe not one of us, will be asked to witness like that. But still, if it comes to that, we must be prepared. That's the meaning of number 3. Monday, Luke 7, say the word. This is the centurion. Lord, I am not worthy to have you come under my roof, but only say the word, and my soul shall be healed.